Happy Monday, everybody, and welcome into the Gramlich and Mac Lane podcast, presented by Ingles, the official supermarket of Gramlich and Mac Lane. Mac, we are 1 week closer. This is the last week before game week, if you're following what I'm saying. And we are talking about the most hyped team in the Atlantic Coast Conference, and honestly, one of the most hyped teams in the country heading into this season, in the world, on globe. The Florida State Seminoles.
Come on, let's go. I'm excited about this. Let me just tell you, this episode is going to be a lot of fun. This team is freaking loaded. They've got a great schedule, a lot of opportunity. Are the Noles back? That's the biggest question. And from the outside and the perception, AP poll number 8. Yeah, I think we're doing good. You know what actually is interesting? I did think that Florida State and Clemson would be higher than 8-9. I thought that they would be like 5-6. I thought there was going to be a big old hype train.
You know how this goes.
That's right. That's right. You know, maybe by week 4 it'll be 5-6. Maybe better. Who knows? We'll see.
True.
I can't wait to see it.
All Florida State has to do is beat LSU, and they'll jump right up.
Very quickly. Very quickly. It's going to be a fun episode, great episode. We're joined by head coach Mike Norvell, which coach has been on with us many times and always love talking with him. Big shout out to our guy, Derek Satterfield, for making that happen. But of course, we got to talk about Ingles real quick. KG, the tailgating season is upon us. And people, you need to get ready. No matter where you go, you got to find you an Ingles, especially if you're in the southern region, and go get your stuff. They have the greatest dip supplies ever. KG's a big guacamole and salsa gal. Do they do queso? Are you queso gal from Ingles? They do a little queso there?
They have queso. They have a ton of options. But their homemade guac,
Is the key,
y'all,
right?
Oh my gosh. Like, if you haven't tried their guac, it's made there in store. You can tell it's so fresh. If you haven't tried it, go do that. You will thank me later. Go try it out, and you'll know what I'm saying.
You got to do it. And again, if you like to make your own stuff, the produce section is amazing. It is absolutely beautiful. It looks like a garden when you walk in there. It's so beautiful and well done. But a lot of other things, you know, I'm a big meat guy. We're going to be smoking up some meats all fall long, tailgating season. They got it. Prime, whatever you want, USDA. All the different cuts, all the different steaks. You got to go check it out. The chicken, the hamburger meat, the ribs. I'm starting to drool about it, KG, just thinking about it.
They got it all.
So before we get to Coach Norvell, let's do a little message from our friends over at Ingles, then we'll talk about the Noles. Let's go.
At Ingles, we're proud to work with hundreds of local farms and businesses in the communities we call home. Not only does it ensure that you get top-quality, fresh items for your family table, it's a way for us to support the amazing individuals who pour their heart and soul into delivering the very best they can do. Quality, freshness, community, it's all in the bag. Ingles, low prices, love the savings.
Coach Norvell, welcome back to the podcast. Listen, whenever we get to talk to you, brother, I know that it's close, but really appreciate your time and you being with us today.
No, I appreciate you guys having me on, and I guess that means we need to do this more in the off season because I mean, you know, it doesn't have to be a one-time deal. But,
we'll hold you to it.
We are excited. We're excited about kicking off fall camp, and guys have done a great job this summer, and just everything building for what's ahead. But
no doubt,
guys have been working hard.
Yeah, no question about it. Well, there's a lot that we want to cover with you today, and there's so many different places. I was thinking, where do we want to start? But I think what makes the most sense is just all the experience, all the talent with this team. Also comes a lot of expectation. So I just kind of wanted to hear from you. How will managing this team be different than maybe others before, with all the national attention, with all the expectation, and a lot of people talking about national championship appearances?
Well, it's still our focus is still the same. It's still on us. It's about what we do. It's about the work that we put in. I think as we've talked before, I'm glad that the country is talking good about Florida State. I mean, this is a unbelievable program. I get to coach some remarkable young men that really worked hard to put ourselves in a position that the good things are being said, but ultimately that doesn't do anything for us on the football field. It doesn't do anything when it comes to our growth and the preparation of what we need to do to go out there and to play our best. So, I mean, that's been our focus. I mean, we had big expectations a year ago when maybe people on the outside didn't. And, if you listen to when people tell you what you can't do, then you won't. And, now as people, think that we have a better football team, well, we need to go and show the capabilities of what all that we can and hopefully do accomplish, in the way that we play. And the only way that happens is through the preparation. And so I know our guys are working hard towards that.
Coach, have you ever, as a head coach, when you look at this schedule this September, two potential top 10 matchups with LSU and Clemson in September, you also have Southern Miss and Boston College on the road. Have you ever started like this as a head coach where you look at your schedule and you think, wow, our September in many ways could make or break? What kind of sense of urgency does that present?
We're excited about the schedule that we have, and be able to start off on a national broadcast game. You're playing on a Sunday night, the only college football game on. I mean, it's going to be a great spotlight and a great showcase, for our team. We're playing will be probably a top 10 opponent in LSU. I mean, it's gonna be a great matchup. We're excited about that. And then, as we continue to go through the season, I mean, each week is going to present its own challenges and, provide opportunities for us to go and get better. But, it's an exciting, schedule that we have in front of us. And, if we'll do what, I know every coach always says, if you take it, one game at a time and continue to, improve and get better, then, even though it's early in the season, you'll be ready for those for what those games can throw at you, and the opportunity to go out there and be your best.
Well, I know we're ready as fans and as media people. We can't wait. So let's talk about Jordan Travis. Let's just dive into a Heisman candidate, which is what he is. And we saw him really, turn it on in the second half of the season last year, I would say. How has he gotten better this offseason?
I think just his comfort in the offense. I mean, he did remarkable things last year, and I thought he played at a high level. I thought he was one of the best players in college football. But even seeing him, you embrace the challenge when it comes to the little things, just the consistency. Trying to become a master of all. It's really allowed us to see that growth and just his anticipation, even the just the consistency of a daily performance whenever it comes to practice, to what he's doing in the meeting rooms, in all areas. You see a very confident player because of the work that he's investing. I know I told people as we finished up spring practice, I thought he was one of our most improved players
Wow.
because of the work he put in. And when you have your best players that can be your most improved, it really does wonders for your football team. And that's one of the things I try to challenge them with. It can every rep, be that championship level rep. And if I truly think he's embraced that and went out there and tried to execute it, and he's just had a great off season and excited to get into fall camp to see that continue to grow.
Yeah, I can't wait to see that, Coach. And the thing that is, I guess, most impressive to me just about Jordan is when you ask him anything about his game or what he was able to do, this and that, he always gives credit to other teammates and other players. And I think that is just such a great attribute for a quarterback, especially knowing that they make so many decisions and have so much going on. How about these receivers, man? Because you arguably have the best in the ACC with Johnny Wilson. You add a monster in Keon Coleman. And oh, by the way, I think everybody forgets Winston Wright is ready and is poised for a really big year. Do you have multiple footballs going out there? I mean, how are you spreading the love to these receivers?
Well, I mean, we're excited about that group, and I know you mentioned a few of them, and there's great players, and you have guys like Kentron, Porter. That's obviously with this spring was probably the star of the spring for us. Darion Williamson coming back, Ja'Kai Douglas, a lot of guys that really we think can be game changers for us, within this offense. And when you have that type of competition, but you also have an opportunity to utilize multiple personnel groupings. I mean, it's exciting for a coach to see those guys continuing to push each other, and it's a very confident but also humble group, and it's one that these guys they play and challenge each other, but they also understand that they all have to do their job to help maybe somebody else get open at times, and that's something that you always love to see. And this offense I think will really be able to go because of that group that we have out there.
No doubt. And then with the run game, too, you guys are poised to be one of the most balanced teams in the country, I would say. You just don't know what you're going to get with Jordan Travis being able to run the ball. Trey Benson is back. How excited are you about this run game, Coach? I mean, there's nothing coaches love more than being able to run the football.
Oh, absolutely, and it's something that we really worked hard to be able to establish. Our first few years,
Hmm.
and I think that you've seen the growth and just the explosiveness of what we can do, and it obviously all starts up front for us. I mean, to be able to create seams for offensive line, I think we've done a great job, in the development of our offensive line. Tight ends, just the ownership and the belief that they have. But then when you can turn around and hand it to backs like Trey Benson, Lawrence
Hmm.
Toafili. I mean, it's an exciting group, and we got a couple of newcomers that I think are really going to do wonders for us. Which allows more versatility in the way that we can attack, and being able to get it to a variety of different playmakers, and be able to keep that balance that we desire.
And coach, talking about that balance, I mean, what does that really do to a defense when you have these just monsters out wide that can make a play at any given time? You've got these running backs, you've got the great offensive line. How does that stress the defense to where maybe they play you differently and you really dictate what they do?
Well, I mean, we always want to be able to take what the defense gives us, and I say that they've got to make a choice, and if we can try to attack, if they're going to try to stay back and keep everything in front of us, and to be able to create seams and be able to successfully run the football, you're trying to force their hands to bring a safety down, to open up play action game, to be able
Hmm.
to spread the field in the passing game, and I think that you look at last season. I mean, there was a lot of different examples of that. In the bowl game, we were able to throw for over 400 yards, passing, and we had plenty of games where we were, over. I think it was, 7 straight games over 200 yards rushing. So I mean, we've been able to have great balance in how we attacked, but also, you've got to be able to take what the defense gives you, but then still be able to attack in a variety of different ways.
Kind of in that thought process, coach, of taking what the defense gives you. I know that we see kind of in the final form of these older, more experienced quarterbacks is they have options, when they go to the line of scrimmage. Will we see that with Jordan? Will we have the ability to check to something or maybe not totally change a play, but like you said, take what the defense gives him and maybe have an option built into some plays?
And that's something we've done with Jordan, even this last year. And I thought it
Yeah.
was, when people watch Jordan, it's easy to get excited when you see him run and you see him scramble, you see the things that he's able to do, throwing the ball down the field. But I think he's one of the smartest quarterbacks that I've been around, and he sees the field so well. And so as we go into games, there's always going to be packages that we'll put together, and where he might have opportunities to change plays to be able to get us into better looks depending on what we see. And he takes a lot of ownership in that, and he spends a remarkable amount of time studying on his own, and trying to implement that within each game plan. So that'll definitely continue to be a part of what we do.
The beauty of having a veteran quarterback, it gives you so many options there. Coach, we got to talk defense. I mean, this defense was so salty last year. You return a lot of those key pieces. One of them's Jared Verse. What does it say about your program that this guy who got a first round grade said, I'm coming back? And what has he improved upon in this offseason?
Well, I think when you look at Jared, yes, he is a special player, but last year, he faced a lot of challenges too. He dealt with some injuries, was really limited. A lot of the time, through the week, and maybe in the amount of practice that he was able to have. But he plays with such a great motor. He's a
Hmm.
very skilled young man. But there are a lot of things, technically and detail wise that I thought he could continue to improve upon. And much like I said about Jordan, there in spring ball, I think Jared was the same story. One of our most improved players. Just his mindset, his approach, the way that he went about his business in the finer details, and as a guy that is a first round talent, to see that type of growth and ownership in the details, it's exciting, and he's just. I think he's still just scratching the surface of where he can go, but his work ethic and desire to get better and to improve is really special.
That is terrifying, coach, for opponents that Jordan Travis and Jared Verse are two of the most improved players. And that smirk you had right there, I know you're ready to get this thing going. From a transfer portal perspective, because you guys have embraced the portal more than almost any other program and you've benefited from it more than any other program. How does that process work in your building? I know you have people whose job is it specifically to look at the portal. Do they say, hey, coach, here's this film on a guy like Jared Verse. Here's this film. Take a look at it. And then do you give the guy a call? I mean, how does that process work in your building?
Well, I mean, we definitely have people that are keeping us, up to date on, when somebody goes in the portal, or when there's an opportunity, to be able to get in contact. Once that happens, we want to be efficient. We want to be able
Mm.
to, if it's somebody that we've either seen, or obviously we believe that can fit our program. We want to get on the phone and start building that relationship to see if it's going to be the right fit. Because ultimately for us, there's plenty of schools that have taken more transfers. We just want to be right on the ones that we bring, and that's something I think we've done a remarkable job of, is evaluating the character, the way somebody that fits into our program, obviously the need at positions, and we want guys when they come here to have an opportunity to be productive. And you see a lot of guys that have come in that have multiple years of eligibility that have been able to grow in our program, and there are some that have been able to come in and even in just 1 year that have been able to exceed even some of the goals and desires that they had, and play at a very, very high level. So it's really been good for us to have that element in our program. But it's really a lot of the same approach, whether you're recruiting somebody from high school, junior college, or the transfer portal. Just really pushing to find the right fit.
And I think that's the most important thing, Coach, is you're not just casting this crazy wide net and hey, who wants to come? You guys are so selective, so specific. Football CT's hitting me here, and you go after needs that you have on the roster. And I think that's what's been so impressive is you lose a guy to the NFL, you bring another one right in that can be at a high level, or you have another recruit waiting in the wings here. Getting back to the defense, and we'll kind of end with this, Coach. Your back seven, man, it just has a chance to be really special. And when you add that with such a talented front seven there, I'm looking at these names, I'm looking at these guys and the talent. What is the expectation for you from this defense each and every Saturday?
Well, I want to see those guys go out there and compete at a high level. I want to see the speed, the physicality, the toughness. It's playing defense. I mean, it's challenging with the versatility of all the different offenses that you'll face. But for us, it all starts up front. We've got an incredible defensive front, and that's something that has to be a forcing unit for us. I mean, we got experienced linebackers that are back. You look at the guys in the back end. I think we're very athletic. We've got guys that have great experience, but so much versatility in our back seven, and the way that those guys can play. Whether it's the different personnel groupings that we can employ. We want to be a defense that is help dictating the tempo of the game and how we attack and how we play. It doesn't mean that we're going to be blitzing every play, but we want to have that aggressive mindset and spirit. And when we get a chance to get the ball back, we want to get it back as quick as we can to our offense to provide more opportunities throughout the course of a contest. And our defense, we're expecting big things from. I mean, it was a top 15 group, last year, and we believe that we're just scratching the surface to where this group can go as we continue to gel and grow together. And we got tremendous leaders on that side of the ball that are pushing to make that happen.
Thanks again to Mike Norvell for joining us here on the program and talking Florida State. And I'm excited to dive into this, Mac, because there's so many things to be excited about with Florida State. I was reading just some different things from fall camp and looking at some Norvell interviews that he did after he talked with us. Mm-hmm. And one of the main things that I'm seeing is Jordan Travis and Johnny Wilson and these wide receivers are gelling. Those are the words that I am seeing about this offense, that Jordan Travis and these wide receivers are really dialed in. Let's just start with the offense, Mac, because I think this offense, we saw what it had become last year. The Florida game is an example of that. But I think the offense this year can just be flat out one of the best in the country.
I do too. I mean, explosiveness everywhere you looked. I mean, you just rattle off Johnny Wilson, Keon Coleman transfer coming in. Looks, I mean, it's a basketball team. Portier over there, I think 6'5.5" or so. I mean, they've got some crazy size at the wide receiver position. Then you add in the tight ends with Jaheim Bell, and of course my guy who transferred in, Kyle Morlock. I think he's 6'6.5". I mean, it's some big dudes that are problems, matchup problems, nightmares, things that you do not want to see. Deuce Spann is another big guy. So I'm excited to see this wide receiver core.
Yeah.
I think that they have a chance to be one of the best in the country, the deepest in the country. And I didn't even mention Winston Wright, guy coming off of, just a bad car wreck injury from West Virginia a year ago. I think he's going to be fantastic. So they've got a lot of depth. They've got a lot of guys that I think are really going to step up and, be big time playmakers. And really what I'm, most excited to see, KG, is the final form of, our guy Jordan Travis, and to see he's gotten so much better each and every year. And now this is no question his team. It was last year, but solidified as a dude. And all the Heisman hype. I saw today a mock first round draft pick, and he was up there. He was in the first round. And so there's a lot of excitement, a lot of preseason lists, a lot of different things. He was my preseason player of the year. So all these things, all these expectations, and I think he's ready for it. He's an old guy. He's been in school. He's gone all through the up and down roller coaster of bad to great. And I think he's ready. This is his moment, that he can really capitalize it and put an exclamation point on his Florida State career by getting them back to the promised land. What does that mean? Is that an ACC championship? Is that a New Year's Six Bowl? Is that a playoff in a national championship? I don't know. But I think we're going to see really big strides again from this Florida State team.
He is indeed an old guy, and we mean that with love, Jordan. This guy has been at Florida State for a while. The way I would put this is he's an adult playing college football. I mean, he is a full-grown man playing college football. And you think of the quarterbacks in recent history that have won national championships. Stetson Bennett, who I think is 47 years old. You had Joe Burrow before that, who was in year 2 in that system in LSU, and of course was taking like 2 classes because he was getting his 5th master's or whatever. So I think that's a really beneficial thing to have in college football. A guy like Jordan Travis, who knows who he is, knows what he needs to do, doesn't really have many distractions, and then has all these talented wide receivers around him. You also have an exciting running back group with Trey Benson, Lawrence Tolafili. I think those guys are going to be very solid. I want to ask about the O-line, Mac, but let's talk about this for a second because you wrote this in our rundown. I'm just going to read it. All right.
Oh no. I don't know what's about to happen.
I'll leave out some things. After losing to 3 ranked opponents in a row last year, the only ranked teams that Florida State played, FSU won their last 6 games. Okay. 5 of those wins were against teams that finished with losing records: Georgia Tech, Miami, Louisiana, Florida, Oklahoma. The 6th was Syracuse, who went 7-6. So, and Nole fans, calm down. Calm down. I know y'all know where Mac and I went to school. All right. So chill out. But that is a fact. That is a fact. The 3 ranked teams that Florida State played last year, they lost to. And then they piled up a bunch of wins against teams that, weren't very good. Now, Florida State, this was new because we had not seen 10-win Florida State beating the teams you're supposed to beat.
Yeah.
So we know Florida State now can beat the teams they're supposed to beat. That next step is LSU, at Clemson, at Pitt. Those are the games when I look at this schedule. I think those are the games that will be the differentiator between having another really solid year, maybe 9 wins and a 10th in a bowl game, or winning the league, get to the playoff. That's really the question here, Mac, is can they take that step?
I've got to tell you guys, when I sent this to KG, I forgot to take that out. So this is my apologies. That was kind of my, secret weapon, if you will, if Noles fans started just chirping too much. So, but it's out there, and it is the truth.
Facts.
It is the truth. And that's why I want to say hesitation. I don't have hesitation. I think you guys are going to be really good. I really do. But there is this little guy sitting on my shoulder that's saying, don't forget those numbers. Don't forget those facts. And it has been tough sledding when you see the ranked opponents that they've lost to, when you see the games that they've lost. But I think that they turned it around. And then you see, okay, couldn't beat any ranked teams. They dismantled the SEC West champ, right? Which that's a massive deal. Now, do I think LSU was a different team by the end of the year? Absolutely. But I also think Florida State was a different team. Yeah. But they got that done. This team has a chance to just blow all that out of the water. And they have great opportunities on the schedule. You just mentioned it. Right now, preseason, I think only 2 ranked teams. But who knows what'll pop up as the season emerges. You have to take care of business. And I think it would be a lie if people were saying that game against Clemson coming to Death Valley isn't circled 10 million times. I mean, it is vital to this program. It is vital to the being back. It is vital to winning championships. And the good or bad thing, however you want to look at it, is you got to play those guys potentially twice. And if you want to win that ACC championship, you got to knock out the king, and you're going to have a great shot to do that. So I'm excited to see it. Again, I apologize, Noles fans, that I left that in there.
Mac,
This
it
was
is what
supposed
it
to
is,
be
man.
happy and positive. That's on me. But it is a fact. It is a fact, KG. And again, I think this is the team that can rewrite that stuff and get them back to where they're used
And
to
look,
be.
Noles fans know that. Noles fans are smart. They understand.
They are smart. I'm not saying they're not smart. I don't know if some of them know that, though. I don't know if they know that.
Well, it's in the episode. But, one thing that bothers me is when we're evaluating a team for a new season, a lot of times we say, well, they haven't done this before, so they can't do it now.
Right.
And there are so many teams that won national titles or went on to win their leagues that hadn't done it before and have done it. Georgia, for years, people said Georgia can't win a national title.
I think it was 40.
They can't get over the hump.
40 years, and now they won two back-to-back.
They can't get over the hump. People said that about Clemson.
Yeah,
so
sure.
For that to be someone's only argument, I think that's really lazy. And so that's kind of my point, to bring it all up and saying, yeah, it hasn't happened. But I don't think that should hold you back by saying Florida State can't do it, because I really think they can.
Yeah,
this
I agree.
roster is just flat out loaded. It's one of the most talented rosters in the entire country. Mac, I know they lost some guys on the O-line. Give us your thoughts on what this O-line can do.
Yeah, well, really, they just lost one, and our guy, great friend
Dylan
of the
Gibbons.
show, who was grateful for our time, loved Dylan, and excited to see what happens with his future. Just got married, a couple of weeks ago, so big shout out to him. I think they're going to be better. And what's crazy about this offensive line, they're probably replacing some starters, like not just guys that they lost or guys getting hurt. Like they brought in guys that they feel really good about, and Coach told us that. He said, there's guys that have been starting and maybe even made some all-conference teams that they might not be running out there first, for the Noles. And I think that's it's a good place to be in when you can have that amount of competitive nature going on throughout your team, especially along the offensive line. So very interested, to see who runs out there first and, who goes out there for this team and what are they able to do offensively, because I do think that it starts up there. And, how much are they able to really push the offense, push the tempo, and, of course, protect Travis. But, man, that running attack, as you kind of mentioned there, Trey Benson he looks like a different dude. He's locked in, physical. I think the battle for running back number one, he and Shipley in the ACC, just going back and forth. And, kind of the race for 1K, right? Who can get there? Who can do it? I think it's going to be fascinating to see, with Jordan, he's going to take up some of those rushing yards, right? Like he's that good of a player that you have to run him. And then on the other side, when you look at, what Will Shipley has with Phil Moffa in the background, and Cade can obviously run too. So it's going to be fascinating to see those two guys, but I love what I see from Trey Benson.
Let's hit on this defense, because I think this defense is going to be salty. I mean, so good. My only question, and we could name all the names. There's so many guys coming back. My only question about this defense is, can they be better against the run? I think that is what can take Florida State to a different level. Can they be better against the run? I know that's been a huge talking point for them throughout the whole offseason, Mac.
Right. And I think, a big piece of that, unfortunately, was, Lovett being hurt, and he was their run stopper, and he was hurt for big chunks kind of after that LSU game. And when you saw him go back in, it was like a different defense up front there. And they did reload, on that defensive line as well. I think adding Braden Fisk is going to be big time. EJ was raving about him, the things that he was doing at practice, and a really talented player coming from Western Michigan. If, ACC fans want kind of a glimpse of that, go watch Pitt versus Western Michigan a couple of years ago, and you'll see that guy just
the game that
nuts.
Kept Pitt out of the playoff.
Yeah, seriously. I mean, he had Kenny Pickett running for his life. That guy was going nuts there. Jared Versus, we know, on any national award you can ever think of, All-American, has every tool in his toolbox with violence, physicality, speed, power, intelligence. I mean, he truly has it all. This guy is a picture-perfect defensive end, and excited to see the jump that he can make. I mean, he was a first-round grade last year.
Yeah.
And I think he wants to be a top 10 pick. And can he solidify that, really get it done? Patrick Payton, defensive end, was the freshman defensive player of the year last year. The strides that he can make, they're going to have a really nice 1-2 punch there, KG. So I think you kind of wrapped it up. The run defense has to be better. And if it is, I mean, you're looking at one of the more electric and dominant defenses in the country. I mean, they were third in points per game. They were first in total yards per game in the ACC and first in passing yards. So these guys get after it, but also fourth in sacks, had 40 sacks. And they did nothing but retool in the secondary, adding a guy like Fintrell Cypress from UVA, who was a first-team All-ACC guy. So they're going to be really good in that secondary, and I'm excited to see kind of just that unit come together.
It's interesting when you talk about Florida State because they've so much embraced the portal, and it feels like because of the portal guys. It's like a little more of what you're getting with the portal guy because they're generally a third or fourth year.
Yes.
We know they're better on both sides of the ball. Like we know Florida State's better just from a roster standpoint.
Yeah.
They're better on both sides
100%.
of the ball. So can that
100%.
get them over the hump? That's the big question.
It'll be fun to see. And, Coach, I thought was really interesting, because we touched on that with him, and he said it's all about fit. Like, we're not just casting this big old wide net like some people think we are. We're going after guys that we think will fit our program. We bring them in and we evaluate. And we know what we're getting because that transfer process, and they've hit on a lot of really dominant guys. And I think I think Braden Fisk is going to be kind of the next one that comes in and immediately ups his draft stock and is a guy that is going to be playing in the NFL.
Yeah, for sure. Okay, let's talk schedule, Mac. Let's talk about this schedule. Vegas has Florida State's win total at 9.5. I think this is a pretty easy over. I mean, 10-2 to me is like a worst case scenario for Florida State. I think that would mean you lose to LSU, you lose to Clemson, you beat everybody else. I do think, Mac, at Pitt, to me, is a game that no one's really talking about for Florida State on November 4th. Also the week before Miami. Not saying you're going to overlook Pitt because Pitt's been a great program for a long time, but that's also the week before Miami. And it could be a cold game. I think that is a sneaky game that's going to be really important for Florida State.
Yeah, and it's a lot of opportunity when I look at this schedule. I mean, obviously, you got to get started in a hurry. You play on Sunday night. The world is watching. It's going to be on ABC. That game is going to rate a 4 or 5 plus. I mean, everybody's going to be watching that. What kind of tone can you set early?
Right.
What kind of message can you send out to the college football world about the Noles and where everybody's going to get really excited really fast? And then not to discount or discredit, but then you fast forward to that Clemson game, and man, I mean, you're talking about if you go 4-0 in September, you might be the number 1 team in the country October 1st.
What's weird to say, you could go 4-0, and I think you have a get out of jail free card. I think you could lose. I think you could lose to Pitt.
Sure.
As long as you win the ACC and have 1 loss.
Right.
You're good. But that's how big their September is.
100%. I mean, a 1-loss ACC champion has never been let out of the playoff, and I don't think that starts this year. The interesting thing is, do you get 2 in? Do you go 4-0? Do you run the table? And even if you lose to Clemson in the championship game, if that's what it is, do you get in? Do both of them get in? We saw that in 2020. This is not a far-fetched thing. We saw this happen with Notre Dame. So I'm fascinated to see it. It's going to be a great opportunity for these guys. I agree with you. I think over is easy. I'm not saying they're sleepwalking to 10 wins, but they're close. I mean, they really are. When you see the schedule, when you see who they play, when you see who they don't play. And it's going to be fascinating. The interesting thing to me, KG, are you in the assumption, I think we've already discussed this before, but are you in the assumption it's a lock? Clemson, FSU, playing twice, playing in the ACC championship?
I think I'm less of a lock than you because it's college football and crazy things happen. That's the only reason why.
What?
I could see.
There is no coastal chaos.
No, I know. I could see.
It's over.
The team I really like, honestly, it's over. The team I really like is Pitt.
You like them enough to beat these guys?
Pitt doesn't draw Clemson, and then they have Florida State at home.
Yeah.
And I could see Pitt is a team that we never give enough credit. And you look at the end of the year and you're like, oh, look at this. So
Richmond Weaver, I need you to mark this tape, brother, because if this happens, KG is a prophet, and we will blast this everywhere.
I do what I can. I more likely than not, I do think it's Clemson, Florida State. But, we've said
back.
It's going to be this and this for years, and it never seems to work out all pretty like we think it is.
That is true. But like I said, no coastal chaos. I think the Noles, which, by the way, look at this shirt. I thought I lost this, KG, because I didn't wear this for the Coach Norvell interview. I had to wear another one, which shout out to Derek for giving me 2. I was devastated. This is one of my favorite shirts.
Nice
I know Clemson fans are listening. They're like, dude, we hate this guy. Look at this thing. It's classic. It's nice.
It's very
nice
clean.
fitting. It's very soft.
Very clean.
Big Nole FSU only
No
shirt.
one gets more free gear in the world than Eric Macklin.
It is true.
Look at
This
me.
is true.
I'm over here in a t-shirt.
I just got back from Syracuse a couple of days ago. Very nice polo, got the hook up there, and a very nice practice shirt with like the long sleeve.
Oh, I saw pictures of you in it. I was like, of course,
there
Matt.
it is. Yes,
he's getting more gear.
Yes.
It's just classic.
Yes. So I'm loaded up. Let me ask you this. Is Florida State going to make the playoff?
I think the ACC champ makes the playoff.
That's not what I asked you.
I think the
Come
ACC
on.
champ makes the playoff, and I think it's very possible that Florida State beats Clemson on September 23rd, and Clemson beats Florida State in the ACC title.
At home?
I
They're
picked
gonna lose at
Clemson to win
home?
the ACC. I picked Clemson to win the ACC. So I think right now, especially with all of this just nonsense that we have going on with power leagues and what's a power league and whatever, it might be harder to get two ACC teams in, especially now that you have. I know
Sure.
Texas, I know you're still in the Big 12, so you're probably going to get someone from the Big 12, and you've got Southern Cal out there too. So you've
Yeah.
got teams that are supposed to be good this year. But I'm just going to say I think the ACC champ makes the playoff. There you go.
Okay, I like that. I want to hear from Noles fans. Noles fans, you're listening right here. If you've stuck with us for 40 plus minutes, wherever we are, would you rather? I know what you're going to say. We'd rather beat them twice. You can't beat them twice. This is the rules of the game. If you had to play them, and you have to choose one of them, would you rather beat Clemson at home, or would you rather beat them and win an ACC title? Now, this might seem easy to you, KG, but I think there's something about going into their house and beating them at their house. That's pretty valuable to me. Let's say you make the play. All of it's the same. Which one would you rather have? I think the trophy.
Okay. So
maybe it's easy. Maybe it's easy to say.
You're saying you make the playoff regardless.
You make the playoff regardless. You got to win one of them. Which one would you rather win?
I think they'd still prefer an ACC championship.
You want hardware? Maybe that's maybe I'm overthinking this.
But in the moment, they might say win in Clemson. Like if they're at the game in Clemson.
I mean, that's a pretty cool place to go win. I've been to a couple of home losses, not a lot. It's pretty crazy when that place gets quiet. It's pretty crazy.
Yeah.
Which I happen to FSU. Shout out to those guys beating our tail.
True.
Anyway, that's it. We're talking about the Noles. We think they're going to be really good. I know you guys do too. Can't wait to see it. Massive opportunity week 1. Going to be a lot of fun. I just hope, man, these guys make some noise and we continue to ride this hype train all the way to Charlotte. And who knows, maybe it goes a little bit further than that. We certainly will be ready for it. Big shout out again to Derek Satterfield. Thank you to Coach joining us. Always love talking to Coach Mike Norvell. He's truly one of the best and excited to see what these Noles can do. But that's it from us. Another great episode of Gramlich and Mac Lane brought to you by our great friends over at Ingles, the official grocer of Gramlich and Mac Lane. Love those guys. Couldn't do it without them. We need you guys, though. We need your help. We need you to go over to YouTube, review, subscribe, leave some comments, jump on this train with us. You got to see these interviews. It's a lot of fun for the stuff we're doing over here. You don't want to miss it. And, of course, the OGs over on Apple Podcasts, rate, reviews, subscribe there as well. We would greatly appreciate that. But until next time, we'll see y'all.